Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on Rumble, X, Facebook, and YouTube. Here to talk a little Green Bay Packers offseason as we're going to dive into the salary cap situation over on defense, projecting ahead to the 2026 season. And we're also going to talk a little linebacker here early on. I want to give everybody a shout out in the chat. Appreciate y'all jumping in here and making us a part of your evening. And if you would go vote real quick over on YouTube, you're already here in YouTube, or you can vote on X. We've got a poll question up for tonight's show that's going to kind of lead off with the topic. And then hopefully by the time we get through with this first topic, we'll get an idea of how everyone feels. The poll question is, which linebacker would you rather play the 4-3 alongside Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper? So let's just assume both of those guys are healthy week one. And in your nickel 4-2-5, it's going to be Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper. When you go to your base 4-3, which should probably be somewhere around 25 to 30% of the snaps, which stack backer would you like to play alongside them? Would you rather have Isaiah McDuffie, Isaiah Simmons, Colin Oliver, or Tyron Hopper? Again, that is up on X. If you're here on X, just go to my Twitter account. It should be right there at the top where we just tweeted it out. And then you can also find that right here on YouTube. We got a lot of votes already coming in. Appreciate everybody contributing to that. I just want to kind of get a feel for how the fans feel about, that linebacker position. And one person we did leave off was Christian Welch. They only give you 4 options on YouTube and Twitter. So the reason I left Christian Welch off, Goody cut him last year, right? I have a hard time believing they picked him back up. I have a hard time believing that he's just all of a sudden going to soar to the number 3 linebacker. You know what I mean? So that's not a knock against Christian Welch. You guys know I was leading the charge in his fan club last year. And when they cut him, I was as surprised as anyone. I thought he had a really good preseason, did everything he needed to do to potentially make the roster. But again, that's why we left him off. And if you think it should be him, just comment that, and we'll just kind of go with it like that. So let's jump into the first topic here. This was a question on YouTube. I thought it was awesome. This came in from Mr. Jass, first name Hugh. You guys can put it together there. He said, Clay, when there's motion from a tight end to the other side of the line, does that change the weak side and strong side backers are? I think he's saying, does that change who the weak side and strong side backers are? Or do the backers usually switch sides when that happens? This is how I would answer that question, Mr. Jass, a.k.a. Hugh. So it depends on a multitude of things. It depends on what's the specific play call for that play there defensively. What is the play call? Is it man coverage? Is it cover one hole? Is it cover 2 man? Right? All those things come into play. If it's like 2 man under or not. It could be, a cover 1 mock fire. It could be a cover 1 will fire. In that case, it doesn't matter if that guy motions over. They most likely will still blitz the guy that was originally designed to blitz. However, there might be something on that occasion that they don't like the way the run fit shakes out in that regard. So they'll just go ahead and flip it and say, okay, once he motions over, you may see him, the mock backer, like if it's a strong right look and the mock is on the right, from the offense's perspective, then they may motion over and you see the mock point to the will and he's letting the will know, hey, you pick him up, I'll fire now. We have seen that happen before. If it's a zone call, right? If it's a zone call, it may stay the same, right? And what I mean by that is, if both inside linebackers, let's assume it's a nickel 4-2-5, and they're both just going to play what we call a hook curl, just kind of a mid zone underneath, right? If that's their play call, it's not going to change anything. So there's no reason for that guy to follow him, right? Because it's not man coverage. Just, hey, let's just stick to our zones here. Now, when you talk about schematically, you may go into a week of preparation and you'll be playing someone like, say, the San Francisco 49ers, and they've got obviously arguably one of the best tight ends in the history of the game in George Kittle. You may have went in that week and game plan for George Kittle and the 49ers and said, you know what? Quay gives us the best shot of covering George Kittle on the specific routes that he runs, right? Or they may think that Edgerrin would give you the best opportunity to be successful in that regard. So if that's the case, then you'll probably will see them switch. Like if he's in a strong right look and he motions over, and the game plan was for Edgerrin Cooper to kind of cover him, even if you're in a zone defense, it might be a Tampa 2 call where the mock, who would be over the tight end in a nickel 4-2-5 look, it would be his responsibility to cover the seam, that deep mid to seam, essentially. So if that's the case, then you may see him flip and him follow him over, right? If it's an underneath hook curl, I doubt they would. Now, if you see them running a lot of combination routes to where that tight end is running an out route, it might be something where they just stay in the same exact spot because they know, look, they're going to pepper us with a lot of 10, 12, 14-yard out routes with George Kittle. We know we're just going to pass that off, so we're not as worried about that. So there may be something specifically in the game plan that would suggest, hey, only in these 2 or 3 scenarios will you guys actually switch. Also, and this is why it's a long-winded answer, you may have some defensive coordinators that like both stack backers and just say, hey, you guys sift that out, meaning you make the decision. So now that's where communication comes in handy, right? So that's how I would answer that question. Again, it's not as cut and dry as, hey, if a tight end motion's over, who's going to continue to play Mike? Who's going to continue to play Will? It depends on the specific play call first and foremost. And then there's probably some specific game planning schematically throughout the week, depending on your opponent. If it's a team that's got a tight end that's not what we refer to as a Tuesday player, and what I mean by that, that's something I didn't make up. That was coined by Bill Belichick, and I'm sure it came from Bill Walsh and on down the tree. But a Tuesday player is someone that the coaching staff has to plan for, and they'll waste most of their Tuesday putting a game plan together to stop that specific player, whether it's on offense or defense. Let me give you an example. On offense, let's say George Kittle is that Tuesday player. Then you may design specific play calls and adjustments to make sure you're taking away his 2, 3, maybe 4 routes that he runs the most, first and foremost, and maybe the top 2 that he's most effective at, right? That's a Tuesday player. You're specifically game planning to stop that one guy. Doesn't mean you're not keyed in on other aspects, but that's the main focal point. Now, you can have a Tuesday player on defense. It might be an edge defender that you go, hey, like Rashawn Gary, this is what Greg Cosell says about Rashawn Gary. You watch Rashawn Gary's film, and you could tell how valuable he is when you see how much attention he garners in terms of chips and double teams and things like that. Mostly chips, not double teams, because we'll line him up in a wide 7 or a wide 9, and it's impossible for the guard to double team Gary on the outside. So that's why you typically have a tight end lined up over there to chip, blast him back into the tackle, or have a running back help chip before they might leak out of the backfield as well. So that's what you refer to as a Tuesday player on defense, So just a number of different ways that you can answer that question. That's how I would answer it. Is there's a lot of factors that come into play. So if you don't have a Tuesday player, then you might just completely disregard it and say, you know what, even when we're in man coverage, when that tight end motion's over, if it's a tight end that we would consider backup quality or bottom third of the league quality, you go, okay, we're not worried about it. Then what you probably have is the mock, just pass him off to the will. But it's another, again, it's a long-winded answer, but depends on what hash they're on too. If they're on the left hash, so the boundary side is to the offense's left, and they motion the tight end over there, they may feel more comfortable putting the will over there on him and letting the mock cheat up on the line of scrimmage to help solidify the run gap feel, right? If they're motioning him from the boundary side, which is the short side of the field, to the field side, the large side of the field, meaning you're on the left hash and you motion him to the field side, then they may approach it differently. So it's definitely not as cut and dry as that. And that's why you'll hear me say over and over and over on this particular show that in today's modern day NFL, you can tell when people don't know what they're talking about when they mention the Sam and they describe the Sam backer as if it's still 1994. Like, oh yeah, that's a guy that's gonna cover the tight end and he's gonna play in the run fit. That's typically not what a Sam's doing in the in modern day football, right? It's changed a lot since the 90s. But that's why we say in a nickel defense, those 2 inside linebackers, you may have one wearing the green dot, and typically people see that green dot and they go, that's the mock. Not necessarily. not necessarily. The mock will line up on the strong side of the formation, and he is the guy who's typically going to cover the tight end in a nickel defense. In the 90s, the Sam would have to be versatile enough to cover the tight end. But in today's modern football, they will cheat the mock over him. And it doesn't mean the Sam won't cover him at all times, but that's typically how that'll go as well. So hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Jass. I'm glad you asked it because I love those type of questions. And again, in the nickel 4-2-5, the mock and the wheel are very, very interchangeable in today's football. That's why when you look at Edgerrin Cooper and you look at Quay Walker, they kind of look like hybrids of each other, right? Or not hybrids, but like clones of each other. They're both very physical. They're taller in stature. They got all the athletic traits, right? You look at those two guys, and then you look at, like, say, an Isaiah McDuffie or a Tyron Hopper or someone like that, and you could tell they're just built a little different. That's why I feel like when you're building a roster, you got your mock types, and I feel like both Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker fit that mock build. And then you got your wheel types and your Sam types. And those are like your Tyron Hoppers, your thumpers, right? Your Tyron Hopper, your Isaiah McDuffie, folks like that. Now, Isaiah Simmons is very interesting because I feel like he would fit a little more of the mold of Quay and Edgerrin Cooper, just being that athletic freak. And it seems like he's a little taller. Somebody help me out in the chat. How tall is Isaiah Simmons? So I don't have to Google it and give you guys dead air. I would love to know how tall he is because I feel like he's probably a little bit taller than most linebackers in terms of stack backers in the 4-3. That makes sense. So 6'4", bing. There. Thank you, Daryl. Bates got it too there. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but that's almost identical. I know Quay's 6'4", but I think Edgerrin Cooper's 6'4" as well. He might be 6'3", but anyone who's over that 6'1" mark, when you get to 6'2", those are kind of fit to be mock backers that we know are interchangeable in the nickel 4-2-5. So there you go. Appreciate you guys looking that up for me. Thank you so much, and thank you to Mr. Jass for that question. Let's get back to the poll question real quick. I'm going to pull up here on the screen how X seen this poll question that we asked at the start of the show, and we'll hit refresh. I think we've already got looks like we already, well, all right, here we go. I'm sure we got some protests going on the old Twitterverse here. So let me scroll down and get back to the poll question that we did tweet out and try to get it on the screen for you guys and gals. Here we go. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about tired of seeing the news feed today where it's just everybody being divisive. It gets annoying. All right. Which linebacker would you rather play in the 4-3 alongside Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper? Isaiah Simmons. And granted, there's only 46 votes on X so far. We just now tweeted it out less than an hour ago, actually about 15 minutes ago. Isaiah Simmons, 63% of the votes. It just shifted to 60% as we're getting real-time feedback here. Isaiah McDuffie is second at 22%. Tyron Hopper is third at 16%. And then bringing up the rear there is Colin Oliver at only 2%. So it seems like the majority of the fan base on Twitter, granted, small sample size, only 50 votes, thinks it's going to be Isaiah Simmons, or they would prefer it be Isaiah Simmons. I'm sure it's not a prediction on their part. And then when we go over to the YouTube stream, 59% say Isaiah Simmons. It just jumped back up to 61% says Isaiah Simmons. Tyron Hopper is 27%. Colin Oliver is 9%. Isaiah McDuffie is 3%. I love doing these poll questions side by side because I feel like our YouTube viewers, the people that are in here regularly, see things, most of the time they see things a little bit different than just the Packer fans on X. So the big difference there is they both agree they would like to see Isaiah Simmons play alongside Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper in that base 4-3. However, the difference between the two is on YouTube, everybody wants Tyron Hopper second most, as where on X they want Isaiah McDuffie second most. So there you go. I like to do those exercises just to kind of get an idea of where the fan base is with questions like that, and just kind of see how everything kind of shakes out. So there you go. All right, let's jump into some salary cap talk. You guys know last night we talked salary cap on the offensive side of the ball. Tonight, we're going to key in on defense. And again, the whole point of this exercise, we do these in the offseason to kind of give ourselves an idea and give us a jump start on exactly what the Packers' plan may be going into next offseason. And again, that starts with this coming up training camp which players are you going to extend? Like last night, we came to pretty much the conclusion that, look, we would love to have Malik Willis back, but if it's over $5 to $8 million, he's probably going to be walking in free agency, right? We talked about wide receiver. I think the majority of people, if he proves he's healthy, want Christian Watson to get extended to some extent. It might be a 1 year, kind of bridge contract to make sure he can hold up healthy. It may be some folks like me that I think at the right price, if he proves he's healthy at the end of this year, then let's go ahead and give him like a 3-year extension. That was a player that came up over Romeo Dobbs and over a couple other players like Mecole Hardman. Tight end position, we're pretty snug there in terms of starters. Offensive line was interesting. We came up with, obviously, we want to re-sign Zach Tom. There's a good chance that you just let Rasheed Walker walk, no pun intended, into free agency, or at least test it out. If there's no market there, then great. You get him back. You make him the best offer and get him an awesome deal. So just an example of why we do that type of stuff going into the current training camp is to see, all right, which players are we looking to potentially re-sign this training camp or before the year is up in 2025. So on the defensive side of the ball, let's start with the defensive line position. I apologize to the chat. I wish I could be a little more engaged with you guys tonight. You know how it is when I'm solo. I don't want any dead air for the folks that are on the podcast. I'm trying to check out the chat in real time, but thank y'all so much for interacting with each other in there and contributing to the poll question. If y'all would hit that like button for us. And if you're new here, sub to the channel. We go live daily for the most part. That's our goal. So even in the off season, we're going live to give you guys Packers content 365 days a year as best we can. Some cases twice a day we'll go live. So if you like daily Packers content, if you're sick of people now immediately shifting focus to the Milwaukee Brewers and in somehow, some way trying to make that exciting sports talk, you guys know I'm a baseball guy, but man, I just can't handle sports talk geared around baseball. It's just, it's tough on me. So if you're getting tired of that type of stuff, understand we're going to talk football here. We're going to talk Packers. We're not professionals. We're not media members. We're not coaches or anything like that. Obviously, we're what you guys are. We're fans, right? This is for the fans, by the fans. So we appreciate y'all tuning in and hanging out with us. Defensive line. Here's what I want to key in on, same as the offense. Notice this 2026 column, okay? That's what we really, really want to key in on. As a matter of fact, I may try to zoom it in a little bit, make it a little bit easier to see. So Kenny Clark is the big elephant in the room, right? This year's cap hit is only $20.3 million. But look in 2026, it's going to jump to $31.3 million. And then in 2027, it drops back down to $27.1 million. Now, when we look at his cap hit, right, and in terms of his exact contract, next year, they're showing a potential out after this year. And the reason being is in 2026, when you see this cap number inflate to $31.3 million, yes, that's his cap hit. But the dead cap attached is only $17 million. So for quick math here, let me break out my handy dandy calculator without too much dead time. If you guys can't tell, I hate dead time on the podcast, man. I try to do my best to keep it rolling. You're going to free up roughly $14 million if you just cut him out right next year. So that's why there's a potential out immediately following the 2025 season. So you see that 31.3 and go, oh crap, we're in trouble. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean we're going to cut him outright. It could be a restructure. We've seen that. You get him to lower the overall number and you give him a little bit more guaranteed, write him a signing bonus check. You can spread that over the duration of the contract, kick it on over to 2027 if you find yourself in trouble. We've talked about the salary cap. It'll come into focus as we get closer to the 2026 season. But right now, after the draft class is accounted for, since we absorbed Jair Alexander's $17 million dead cap penalty this year, it's looking like next year, I feel really comfortable after the draft class saying we're going to be sitting at about $40 million in cap space, okay? And some people see that and go, oh, we're rich. No. That's not a whole lot of money. It's enough to make a move or two, don't get me wrong. But when you're looking to extend players we know how much Brian Gutekunst loves his own free agents, you probably, you could probably land one, maybe two free agents, kind of like you did this year, if you find yourself needing that. Here's the other thing. We could be looking at the end of the year with great news and going, man, look, we had a great year. We made it to the Super Bowl, or maybe we make it to the NFC Championship, or who knows, maybe we win the whole damn thing. If that happens, then you're probably going to look up and go, okay, where do we need to trim some fat off the roster, free up a little more cap space? Who do we want to extend? Let's don't go spend a bunch of money in free agency. Let's run this thing back with a new draft class and expect these guys to mature at another level. That's how dynasties are built. So, again, with Kenny, I think there's a decent chance he'll be back next year. I just don't think it'll be at 31.3. Praise sweet baby Jesus, right? Because that cap number is just, whoo. Now, he may come out this year without the toe injury that he dealt with all the way back to week 1. He played with it all year long. We've seen some design touch spies from him, engaging into double teams, playing him in the one tech and the nickel 4-2-5 to force them to double team him, and them not knowing that he couldn't even drive off of that foot with the pass rush. I think that's brilliant by half, if indeed that is what happened. When you put all the puzzle pieces together, it feels like that's what happened to me. Because you guys remember on Chalk Talk this year, we sat around a year going, yeah, Kenny's playing a touch spy there. I can't give him a negative mark for playing a touch spy. And if you guys are wondering what a touch spy is, he didn't do it 100% of the time. There was a lot of snaps where when he lines up in the one tech in the nickel 4-2-5, which means he's between the guard and the center, they're going to go 97's a Tuesday player. That's typically how offenses have looked at him in the past. He is definitely our best interior defensive lineman when he's healthy. So what they'll do is they'll trigger a double team between the guard and the center. With a touch spy, what he's going to do is engage with that double team, touch, and then he's just going to kind of slap fight and hold his ground and keep his eyes on the quarterback. And if they run the ball, his total focus is going to be a punch and drift. And what I mean by that is he's going to punch the offensive lineman or the double team, see where the running back's going, and just drift into that lane and try to make the tackle, as opposed to just pinning his ear back and going after the quarterback. So, again, this is not making excuses for Kenny. I've been very vocal. I didn't think they should have extended him. But after hearing, like with the season he had statistically last year, you go, yeah, we were right. Sucks to be right in that situation, right? But then when you find out about the injury, you go, that makes sense with all the touch spine last year. So Devontae Wyatt will be under contract next year, $12.9 million for the fifth-year option there that the Green Bay Packers picked up on Devontae Wyatt. So he is under contract. Kobe Wooden's under contract. Carl Brooks, Baron Sorrell, Nesta Jade Silvera, whoever the hell that is, he's a restricted free agent. You got Colin Oliver is listed as a defensive end. Now, keep in mind, they've got the defensive ends listed here as well, and you got to kind of filter through this a little bit, okay? When we're looking at defensive line, they've still got Rashawn Gary as a linebacker on here, okay? So we're going to have to work through this ourselves and determine who is an edge position player, who is an interior defensive lineman position player, okay? So Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Kobe Wooden, Carl Brooks, Nesta Jade Silvera, Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse, Keith Randolph Jr., James Nestor, Deslin Alexander, they are all interior defensive linemen, even though some of them are listed as defensive end because they may be looking to play them at like a 4-eye look, right? A 4-eye to a 3-tech. And sometimes you'll be shaded over to one side of the formation, and that technically makes them a defensive end. I love Spot Track, but there's so many websites that are so out of date with not updating to edge, interior, and stack backer. So we'll filter through that. So again, when you look at the contracts coming due next year, the interior defensive line have nobody coming due. When I mean next year, I mean at the end of this year, right? It's set to be free agents. So you're probably looking at getting a deal done for our boy Devontae Wyatt to extend him beyond this year, okay? I would imagine that's pretty high on the priority list for the Green Bay Packers. You do not want to have to franchise tag Devontae Wyatt next season. So I think what will most likely happen is Kenny Clark's number will come down. You're going to pay Devontae Wyatt an extension that'll probably offset that, which is totally fine. And if you cut Kenny outright next year, you're looking for someone to step into that role. And who knows, maybe you go into the draft next year or free agency next year and try to get one of those guys that can fill that void of Kenny. I think he'll be back. I think they're just going to restructure that, and 2027 will be the year that we move on. Now, if Kenny comes out this year, he's healthy, and he still rushes the quarterback like cheeks, and he has a down year, the writing's on the wall. They'll probably move on because, again, Goody likes to move on 1 year too soon rather than 1 year too late. So that's how the defensive line kind of shakes out. All right. So again, it feels like Devontae Wyatt is going to be the anchor moving forward in the future. Kenny Clark, you'll probably have him for 1 more year. Carl Brooks and Kobe Wooden, in my opinion, unless they're going to take pennies on the dollar in terms of an extension, they haven't shown enough to warrant starter money. So you're probably going to have to let them test the market and make a decision on whether or not you want to bring them back. So I want to mention Colin Oliver. He's a hybrid player, okay? And we're done with interior defensive linemen. Think now in terms of edge defenders, and we'll mix and match these in here so we know exactly what we're talking about. Barron Sorrell and Colin Oliver will most likely be edge defenders, although Colin Oliver is a hybrid backer, so he can play stack backer as well. So keep that in mind right there. So when we start to break down the edge room, you've got 2 that are on this list, Colin Oliver and Barron Sorrell, that are under contract next year, obviously. So let's move on to stack backer. And this is what you got, edge defender. This is what we're doing now is edge. See how they've got outside linebacker still listed as if we're running a 34 defense. So you got to ignore that. We're just going to change that OLB to edge, other than Isaiah McDuffie, who we know is a true stack backer. All right. And it's going to get a little bit tricky, but I think we can accomplish it here. So coming back next year, Rashawn Gary at $28 million cap hit. Lucas Van Ness next year, a $5.5 million cap hit. You've got, after that, Kingsley Enagbare is walking in free agency, most likely. You're going to have our boy Brenton Cox Jr. is a restricted free agent. Thank God. He'll be back. I guarantee you that. Aaron Mosby's a restricted free agent. They'll probably bring him back. They like him a lot. And then you've got Christian Welch as a stack backer. So, again, you're going to have Barron Sorrell, Colin Oliver. That's 2. Rashawn Gary, LVN. That's 4. Okay. And then you're going to have Brenton Cox Jr. and Aaron Mosby. That is 6. So you've got 6 edge defenders under contract next year. Now you've got to start thinking early, are we going to hit LVM with the 5th-year option? The 5th-year option for the edge position will be linebacker technically, okay? So if somebody wants to look this up for me in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it. Look at the 5th-year option number for linebackers this year, okay? And it'll probably inflate a little bit next year, but that'll give us a good guesstimate of what LVN's 5th-year option would be if they indeed do want to activate that. Think Quay Walker this year. You guys remember there should be some articles written out there that talks about what Quay Walker's 5th-year option would have been, and the Packers did not obviously activate it. And the reason being is because, just like here with Spot Track, they group edge, outside linebackers, and 3-4 defenses, and they group stack backers to come up with that number. So if we can find out what that number is, I'll try to keep my eye on the chat to see if that's something that's reasonable to pick up. I imagine it's going to be fairly high, probably around 15 million, I would say. Chris says 24. Wow, you may be right, Chris. You may be right. Let me just do a quick Google search here. We'll go 5th-year option. Year option linebacker NFL. Let's see if we get anything here. 5th-year option projection. Playtime, blah, 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 blah. Some of it does come down to playtime too. Trayvon Walker, what class is this? This is why I try not to look stuff up myself, because it's going to be some dead air here. Chris the Casual may have it. Let's see here. For the 2025 NFL season, the 5th-year option for linebacker selected in the first round of the 2022 draft is $24 million, according to Pro Football Network. You're the man, Chris. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Solder confirms there. And I believe Bates is – let's see what Bates has got. Quay Walker, linebacker, Packers number 22 overall, option declined. Packers aim for a long-term extension instead of the $14.7 million guaranteed salary, which would have ranked 7 among inside linebackers. So, that's interesting. We got 2 conflicting numbers there, right? So, now maybe it looks like, Chris, you're hitting the projection, right? Looks like you might have gotten what they're projecting it to be. So, and Bates says his was AI. I'm with you on that, Bates. Like AI is choppy at best. So let's go with Chris's number there. Okay. Let's go with Chris's number and say that the projection is $24 million. Oh, wait, nope. Chris comes back. I think it's actually $14.5 million. Okay. To me, that seems more reasonable in terms of a backer, right? Now the question is defensive end. Does it get grouped in with defensive line? If so, then that would fall under around about the Devontae Wyatt number at 12. So 14, we're covering the bases. All right. So let's call it 15 million. So if you decide to pick up that 5th-year option with Lucas Van Ness, you're looking at about $15 million cap hit fully guaranteed for that year. I imagine the Packers would want to extend him instead of doing that. But again, I thought they would want to do that with Devontae Wyatt, and they picked it up, right? So it's tough. Precedent would suggest they're going to pick up that 5th-year option on LVN. I would hope they can work out a deal to make it more salary cap friendly, although you could still spread it out. We've seen that with Darnell Savage when they extended him or when they gave him the 5th-year option. So, yeah, I'm with you. Holmes says the 14 figure makes sense. I think it does too. The 24 seemed a little high. So, yeah, here we go. Deadfish says 50% of the snaps in each of the first 3 seasons is 16.1 million. There is snap incentives and things like that comes into play as well. So I think we got a pretty good grab on it. So with LVN, you're looking at roughly 15 million. So with that being said, I think they're going to look to keep LVN. Listen, he was breaking in on 12% pressure rate on the entire year. The second half of the season, he was closer to 15% pressure rate, according to NFL Pro. It's just the first half he kind of struggled, took a little bit of time to get going. I think they see him as an ascending player, and we know that's huge to front offices in the National Football League. So LVN's one that's going to get extended. Gary is kind of in the same boat as a Kenny Clark. Now, Gary has been much more productive, both especially in the running game, but also the pass rush last year, leading the team in sacks, leading the team in quarterback pressures, leading the team in run stops. Still had a down year, which shows you how good Gary's been. There was one year he had like a 19% pressure rate. Last year he had 13, which is still anything over 10% is considered really good. So I'm not saying that his play would suggest they would do something in that number. I just think going into the next to last year of that deal, you're probably looking to do some kind of restructure to bring that number down if you find yourself in a little bit of salary cap trouble, okay, if you do get a little bit aggressive. But I think Gary will be back. I think LVN will be back. Moving on, Barron Sorrell, obviously rookie, he'll be there. Colin Oliver, that hybrid, he'll be there. Brenton Cox Jr. will be back. Aaron Mosby will be back. The question now becomes, do you try to extend Brenton Cox Jr. after the restricted free agency's picked up? That's going to be the big question there. And I think you want to look to replace Aaron Mosby. I don't think he's been near as effective as Brenton Cox Jr. personally. So that's how the edge room looks. Let me hit the super chat real quick, and then we'll get into the secondary, which they've got grouped together. Me no like you that, Jan. Super chat from Dan. I'm not going to disrespect the last name of me being a dumb redneck, not being able to read it correctly, sir, but thank you for hanging out. He says, hello from Sweden. Oh, it's awesome. We could put it on the banner. Let me make a note, and we'll do it after the show, that we've got a listener from Sweden now, man. We got people from all over the world. It's absolutely awesome. He says, thanks for the content. Your pod is always the first choice every morning when I bike to work. Go Pack, go. Dan, thank you so much for the kind words, man. And that is a very, very kind, very generous donation there. We really, really appreciate that. And again, it's awesome that never would have thought we'd be in and I'm going to sound like a boomer here. I'm going to sound like an old man, but remember when I used to listen to sports talk radio when I was in my car on AM radio, right? I remember had a little handheld headset I would wear to work when I worked for the Postal Service. Early 2000s, had to constantly change out the AA batteries in that sucker just to be able to hear sports talk. And now it's literally, we go live and instantly someone in Sweden is being able to listen on YouTube or wherever. It's just absolutely awesome. So Dan, thank you so much, buddy. You didn't have to do that, but we greatly, greatly appreciate the donation there, sir. All right. DB is going to be interesting because we got to filter this thing down. Now they do have it separated somewhat for us, listing the cornerback, so it'll be a little bit easier than the edge and stack backer. Well, we didn't get to stack backer, did we? We had to go back to stack backer. What am I doing? Stack backer, Quay Walker going to be an unrestricted free agent. All right. Edgerrin Cooper will be back, so that's one, right? Isaiah McDuffie is 2. Tyron Hopper is 3. Isaiah Simmons is an unrestricted free agent. He'll probably walk in free agency, at least test the market, right? Christian Welch is an undrafted free agent. And you got Jamon Johnson or Jamin Johnson, however you say it. Now, we still got him under contract, but I don't think anybody's expecting him to light the world on fire. So you only got 3 backers coming back. Quay Walker, they declined the 5th-year option. And this is where it gets a little tricky. I want to get your all's take in the chat here. Let us know what you think. We declined his 5th-year option, but the Packers were very vocal saying, we definitely want to bring him back. So they want to try to get a contract done. Many people seen it like, yeah, they definitely want to bring him back. And I think there is some interest there for the right price. Why would there not be? But what really makes me a little bit, you guys remember what they said about Josh Myers last year? He's playing the best ball of his career. I was just like, oh, they're going to re-sign him, right? And it's almost like when the team is extremely vocal about something, it's almost like they're trying to send a smokescreen, you know? So, again, if I had to put money on it, I would think they're going to bring Quay Walker back and try to extend him because they think they really like him. But when I heard that, I'm like, boy, I got burned last year thinking they were going to do it with Josh Myers. You guys know I was no shot at Josh Myers. I was happy that they moved on there. I feel like he's really underperformed throughout his entire career in Green Bay. But just something to kind of keep an eye on. So let's say they do bring Quay Walker back. Your linebacker room's set again. Maybe you make a draft pick if a guy falls to you and you just can't pass up on it, right? That could be the case. But with Quay, it's going to come down to the price tag for me. H.E. Solder says, does Quay Walker have the football instincts to warrant an extension? When he plays without thinking, it's as good. It is good, but man, he can just look garbage when he has to make a choice. That sounds like a harsh critique, Solder. Everything you said is accurate, man. You know, when he's playing loose, bruh, he's a dog. And it felt like he played loose most of his rookie year, and then he had those 2 personal foul penalties there down the stretch where he shoved the trainer, and then there was something else that happened, you know, whatever. And from that point forward, it's like he started to try to temper himself down a little bit, like, okay, I gotta calm down a bit, and he hasn't been the same player. Now, last year, he started to cut the corner a little bit. I agree with you that it's all about instincts. Like, when he arrives to the football, he tackles well. The problem is he's missing that first step or that first half a step. Like you said, it's like the FBI isn't there. The football intelligence isn't there. Edgerrin Cooper, that dude, there was zero hesitation to the point where the coaching staff's like, yeah, we got to slow him down a bit. He's shooting gaps he's not supposed to, which kind of makes you think, is the coaching staff coaching Quay Walker a little too conservatively, right? But nonetheless, it's all going to come down to the number. What number would you guys give Quay Walker? Let me know in the chat as soon as possible, okay? What number would you give Quay Walker in terms of average annual value? Let's say it's got to be a 3-year deal. How much per year would you be willing to pay Quay Walker on an extension? How much money per year? I want to know what you guys think about that. Holmes says Cooper just likes to go and ruin guys. LOL. He really does, man. Really does. He's just – some people are just ballers. What you refer to as a footballer, right? Just a guy that's just like, no matter what position he'd play, you think he'd probably be comfortable there. You know what I mean? He would play with aggressiveness and not hesitate at all. You know, AFAM says a 1-year prove-it deal. Solder says $12 million. Very interesting, Solder. Very interesting. That's close to that 5th-year option, right? That 5th-year option number, what was it? 14 million. So AFAM says $4 million. Big difference there between Solder and AFAM. Vahan says 12. Okay. Bungie Cheddar Bug, cool name, 10 to 12. Clint the Armchair Quarterback says $11.5 million. Holmes says $10 million per for 3 years, 12 guarantee. I like it, Holmes. That way it turns into a 2-year, $12 million deal. You could get out of it, right? If need be. You can get all the guaranteed money out of the way and then cut bait if it's not working out, right? Daryl says $5.5 million. So the majority of the folks in here are saying over $10 million, right? I think the number I would like to see that I would cap it at would probably be about $8 million. That's the number I'm thinking of. And I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it. Just that's the number that comes to mind for me, probably somewhere around 8. And it is between those two numbers that everybody was saying. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, Quay Walker is one of those dudes probably looking at getting a contract extension this year. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, moving on to the secondary. Let's start with cornerback, okay? Let's rattle them off here. Keyshawn Nixon is under contract through 2026 for one more year, all right? So there's one. Nate Hobbs is 2. Javon Bullard is 3. Now, they've got him listed as a safety, but we know he plays nickel for the most part. Carrington Valentine is 4, all right? And then you've got Bo Melton is listed as a corner officially. Now, I'm not going to consider that as him as a corner yet. They got him as a restricted free agent, but nonetheless. Gregory Jr., restricted free agent. Isaiah Dunn, restricted free agent. Then you've got next at the cornerback position, Micah Robinson's listed as a safety. I see him as a corner. That's 5. Kalen King, exclusive rights free agent. You can bring him back if you want him back. That's 6. Kamal Haddon would be 7. So with that being said, the big question becomes, do you re-sign Keyshawn Nixon after this year? He's 28 right now, right? His cap hit next year, $7.1 million. I don't know what his market value would be, but I'd imagine he would want more money than he got before. To me, it seems like that's a stretch. Am I wrong there, guys? I think the future is going to be Nate Hobbs and Carrington Valentine alongside Javon Bullard, and then you're looking to sign someone. You're hoping that Micah Robinson can step into that role type thing. Tell me if I'm wrong there. What's the number you would put on Keyshawn Nixon? Let me know in the chat. What average annual value, or you can just say, nah, let him walk. That's totally cool too. But let's say another 3-year deal that would run him under contract till the age of 31, right? Through the age of 31. What would be the average annual value that you would pay Keyshawn Nixon if you were to sign him next year? And as you guys are thinking of your number, those are the dudes that's going to be coming up for a contract, right? Carrington Valentine's going to be due too. So, man, that's wild to think about. That Carrington Valentine is going to be going to a contract year next year, so you don't have to really worry about it this camp, obviously. But going into camp next year, you're going to be making a decision. We're going to find out if Carrington can be, I don't want to say a number 1 corner, but remain a number 2 corner on an NFL roster. Because if that's the case, that's going to probably get him somewhere between $8 to $12 million per, I would imagine. Now, if he emerges and continues what he did last year, which I thought he had a phenomenal season, had a better passer rating when targeted than Jair Alexander, gave up 0 touchdowns. Jair gave up 2. His PFF grade, he finished his coverage grade ended up being a 71, I think, after last year at the end of the season. So, yeah, with Carrington, that's very, very interesting. Very interesting. So you got Keyshawn and Carrington under contract next year. Carrington's, if he blows up this year, he's going to get the bag next year. He's going to get paid a pretty good chunk of change. Now back to Keyshawn. Holmes says 10 average per year. Again, 10 guaranteed. Got it. All right. Daryl says $3.5 million per for Keyshawn. I believe Keyshawn will walk in free agency, Daryl, if that was the offer. But I can understand where you're coming from there. I can. I don't think that's – it's not like he's lit the world on fire. He hit a passer rating when targeted in the hundreds last year, and he gave up 5 touchdowns. Now, he played a lot better moving outside. So let's play him outside this year and see if he continues to get better, right? So we'll kind of see how that shakes out. So those are the 2 names you're looking to really, really see about re-signing at the end of next season. But as far as this year, there's nobody there that you're looking at, man, we definitely got to re-sign them. Zane Anderson is a safety. We'll talk safeties here in a second. You're pretty much set at corner. And when I say set, I'm not talking about, hey, the cornerback room is better now that Jair's gone. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just simply saying the guys that you're moving forward with as your starting corners, your top 5, 6, 7 guys on the roster are under contract through next year as well. So there's no immediate, hey, we got to get these guys signed right now. So moving on to safety. You've got, Javon Bullard obviously is a hybrid. Let's start with Xavier McKinney at the top, matter of fact. Xavier McKinney is under contract through 2027. His cap hit next year is $19.1 million. By the way, $17.8 million this year for someone who tied the lead in interceptions for safeties. I think he actually tied the lead or was one behind the leader, Kirby Joseph, in interceptions in the entire league, not just safeties, but the entire league. But 17.8, money well spent. It only jumps to 19.1 next year, guys. How the hell we got Xavier McKinney for that cheap is beyond me. I just think that's an absolute steal of a contract. So Next safety on the list. So that's one. Javon Bullard, we talked about him as a nickel. He can play the safety as well. We know he does play safety. He's under contract for 3 more years. So that's 2 you potentially have. Zane Anderson is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Probably let him test the market and then try to bring him back if nobody offers him. I think the best case scenario for us Packer fans is Zane Anderson never sees the field this year because our safety room stays healthy. His number does not get inflated. He goes and tests the market, and you get him for $2.5 million, bringing him back. And now he's a complete pro and understands fully, to the fullest extent, Jeff Hafley's defense and what they're asking him to do in it. That would be awesome to bring him back. But nonetheless, I'm not going to count it because he's not technically under contract next year. Evan Williams is number 3. He's under contract. The next safety is going to be Katano Ladapo. He'll be under contract. Omar Brown will be an exclusive rights free agent. You will get him back. And then you got Jonathan Baldwin listed as a safety here. I'm not going to list Mock as a safety, although he may play safety. Who knows? So you're pretty well set at safety. You do not have to bring Zane Anderson back. Let him test the market. If you get him for pennies on the dollars, that's absolutely awesome, right? So that's how the safety room shakes out. So there's no immediate, okay, we got to get a contract done here. So again, going into this offseason, what it feels like to me is just a quick recap. Cornerback, nothing to worry about, right? Going into this offseason, nothing at all. You're looking at next season, Carrington Valentine. But again, that's not a contract we need to get done right now. So there's nothing to extend there. There's nothing to extend. Corner's good to go. Safety room is good to go. When we looked at Stackbacker, you got Quay Walker. That's the big name. So that's another one we're going to add to the list here of players that we're potentially looking to re-sign at the end of this year or maybe even before the year starts. So Quay Walker makes that list for us. Back to defensive tackle. You got to do something with Kenny's high cap hit in 2026, but he's not going to be a free agent, so it's not something where you go look to extend him. You're looking to bring that cap number down, a little cash over cap, massage the cap, the salary cap a little bit, and make some magic there. Devontae Wyatt, typically what happens with these fifth-year options, sometimes they'll use that to give them a bridge into the new contract extension. What I expect to happen with Devontae Wyatt, I would be very, very, very surprised if they do a contract extension immediately after they did that fifth-year option. But if you get halfway through the season this year and Devontae Wyatt is just lighting the world on fire, you'll go ahead and tack on an extension with that fifth-year option. And typically the way that works is the guaranteed money, $12.9 million is fully guaranteed for that fifth-year option. They'll work that into the guaranteed, the practical guarantee aspect of the contract extension and kind of put themselves in a more advantageous situation in terms of the salary cap. So I think they're going to see what Devontae Wyatt does the first half of the season. And if he's just, okay, this dude took a huge step. He continued off the success he had last year. In terms of when he was healthy, he was our best interior pass rusher. I think he was right at 10%, a little less than 10% pressure rate. Kenny Clark was at 6%. I think Carl Brooks was around 6%. So hands down, Devontae Wyatt was the most successful last year. So if he takes that next step, you're looking to extend him, I believe. That's just me personally. So that's one that you're looking to extend possibly, but halfway through the season. Other than that, there's nothing, right? You're going to restructure Kenny's contract or move on, and you're looking to try to go ahead and put a long-term deal together with Devontae, say mid-October, late October, maybe the first week of November. You look up and go, man, our boy has 8 sacks. He's got a 12% pressure rate. He's hands down our best interior defensive lineman. Let's get this extension done. So nothing urgent at defensive tackle. So far, we just got Quay, right, on defense, and that's it. So all you've really got to focus on defense in terms of contract extension, I'm going to write this down so I don't forget it, is Quay Walker. And again, what's that number? And when you look at this, guys, on offense, we said Zach Tom, right? Let me write these down while I'm thinking about it. We're talking about negotiating or trying to restructure in some way Elton Jenkins' contract to bring that salary cap hit down. You got Rasheed Walker. I'm not saying we should re-sign him, but that's one that's due. If they like him, they may bring him back. That's it on offensive line. Wide receiver, right, was Christian Watson is what we were thinking. I'm going to also put Romeo Dobbs on this list just so we know, okay, there's another guy that's up, although you guys know how I feel about that. I think if Christian Watson proves he's healthy in November, extend him and let Romeo walk into free agency. And the other thing too is these receivers are not going to get extended in training camp, right? Like we're looking at doing Zach Tom. Zach Tom, you're looking to extend him. With the receivers, Christian Watson's going to have to get back on the field, prove he's healthy, and be a lot, or at least be way further along in the process, the rehab process, that they feel comfortable with extending him. Then you try to get him that deal with Romeo. It's going to be much like what we talked about with trying to think of who it was, where you let him play halfway through the year. Who was it we were just talking about on defense here? Getting halfway through the year. Oh, Devontae Wyatt. Get halfway through the year and go, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and extend him. Although it's Romeo Dobbs' final year of his contract. So those are the names we're coming up with. Malik Willis for the right price. I think we would all agree we'd love to have Malik Willis back as our backup, but we can't pay him over $10 million. You know, you can get him back somewhere between $5 to $8 million. I'd be okay with that. If he doesn't play a single snap in the regular season this year and Jordan Love stays healthy, his value will probably go down immensely. Let him test the market, and then you match it. That number might be hovering around $5 million. That'd be great. Rasheed Walker, I think you're probably letting him walk because you got Jordan Morgan cross-training in the left tackle. I think their plan is they want Jordan Morgan to win the left tackle spot. Guess what happens there too? If Jordan Morgan goes out and balls out in training camp and he takes the left tackle spot from Rasheed Walker, now Rasheed Walker is demoted to a backup. If that happens, Rasheed Walker's number comes down now. Now, teams are going to go back and look at the 2023 tape or the 2024 tape and go, hell of a pass blocker. I'd be willing to give him $13 million, and that might be out of Green Bay's price range. So that's another player to keep an eye on. Christian Watson, got to prove he's healthy. Quay Walker, like we just talked about. I think with Quay, they're probably going to want to extend him. And it might be something like Devontae Wyatt, albeit he is going to be a free agent this year. They didn't pick up that fifth-year option for Quay. You might get a month into the season, Quay's balling out, and you extend him right then. That could be the case as well. What you're seeing, though, is you got multiple players. Rasheed Walker, Quay Walker, Romeo Dobbs, Zach Tom, and Christian Watson when he comes back. They all have an incentive to want to play their ass off for that next contract, whether it's in Green Bay or it's on the free agent market. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how those shake out. So, all right, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to hit a little salary cap talk. And again, that was mostly on defense. We kind of recapped what we talked about on offense. We have identified now 6 players that we've got to make decisions on as soon as possible. Do we want them to be a part of the Green Bay Packers for the next 3 to 4 years? That's what it comes down to. Because I don't think any of those guys are just going to take a one-year deal. Maybe Christian Watson, if he understands, let me take this deal and prove to everyone I am healthy, and then I'll be a free agent the following year if they don't franchise tag me. So, going to be a lot of fun this year. Soder, I love it, man. He's already prioritizing. He says, Tom is the one guy you must sign. Could not agree more, Soder. Could not agree more, man. Zach Tom, get it done. Don't care how you got to do it. Get it done. And then he says Watson is a close second. For me, second would be, I wouldn't put Malik Willis second. I'm with you. I think it's Christian Watson. And then it's probably Quay. Quay would be third on my list. Because, again, I'm not as sold on Quay, albeit he could change our mind the first month of the season. Really, really good. So, all right, that's going to do it for the salary cap talk. Now we're going to do a quick giveaway, and we're going to get out of here. As we do this every month. For those who are wondering, what are you talking about giveaway? If you're new here, the best way to support what we do at Packers Total Access is join our Patreon community, okay? And that is by going to www.patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, or scan the QR code in the upper right, or click on the link in the video description wherever you're watching this at. All right, if you're listening on the pod, again, it is patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, all one word. Okay. And for those who are a member of our Patreon community, you get questions for the show, which we hit on earlier. You can ask a question for the show, that type of thing. And also we do giveaways. And with the giveaways, the way it works is anybody who is a member of the $3 tier, we've got 3 tiers, $3, $5, and $10. If you pay for the full year, then you get a discount on it, I believe. If I remember correctly, is how Patreon works. But all you need is a $3. The $5 and the $10, that's just there if people want to be generous. People were asking, how can I donate more money? We actually had a couple people get multiple memberships because I only had a $3 tier at the time. So we added the $5 and the $10. Now, If you're a member of the $3 tier, you will get your name put on the Larry McCarron pinky wheel here. All right. As we throw it up and we do a giveaway. We try to do one at least every 2 weeks. We've done one now for 3 straight weeks. And this week's giveaway is an autographed Romeo Doubs card. Really, really cool piece of memorabilia donated by an avid listener, friend of the show, Rick Kruger is who donated these. We got all kinds of cool ones coming up. We're going to have some more Enigbares coming up here. Really, really nice rookie cards. And this one is just a Romeo Doubs. It's not a rookie card. It's a rising stock card, but it is sweet. Valiant, I think, is the name on the card. Really cool piece of memorabilia. So put your name on the wheel, and whoever it lands on, they win the card. That's how this works here. And again, it's just a way for us to give back and reward those who are supporting the channel. And the best way to do that's in our Patreon community. So somebody in the chat, give me a number between 1 and 10 as quick as possible. A number between 1 and 10 so we can prove that this is not RIGGED up in here. All right. Number between 1 and 10 as quick as possible. First one to do it is the one we'll use. Marco Day says 7. All right, let's shuffle it 7 times. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If it lands on Emilio, we're going to laugh at him because he is not allowed to win this, as we always say here. All right, so let's see if we can get zoomed in here. Let's drop the banner down now, and let's give this away. The winner of the autographed Romeo Doubs card donated by Rick Kruger is Chris C. Chris C. Congratulations, Chris C. Shoot me a DM in the Patreon group, and we will get your address and mail that out to you. Now, if Chris C is in the clink, we can't get a hold of him. It'll go to the second place winner, who is David Mitchell. So again, if Chris C doesn't come forward and claim, it'll be David Mitchell. And then if they don't come forward, we'll give it to the autographed Romeo Doubs card will go to Andrew Matson. So again, the winner's there. The true winner is Chris C. If we don't hear from him, it'll go to David Mitchell. If we don't hear from him, it'll be Andrew Matson. People are going, Clayton, why are you picking 3? Because there was like multiple weeks where people didn't come forward because they just donated to the Patreon because they just wanted to support the show, but they never plug into Patreon. Probably don't even listen to the show anymore. They just wanted to be generous. So that's how that worked. So again, Chris C., congratulations on winning the autographed Romeo Doubs card. So that's it, guys. Oh, he's in the chat. Look at that. What's up, Chris? Good deal, man. I thought that was you, Chris Coleman. Shoot me a DM over on Patreon if you don't care. That way I can confirm it's you. You'd be surprised how many people would try to act like other folks and come in here and try to swoop these giveaways away. Okay, so do that for me if you don't mind, bub. All right. We got a super chat here from the Mac and Cheese podcast. What's up, Mary? Says hi from My Autism Connection. Thank you for the super chat, Mary. You didn't have to do that. We appreciate you hanging out with us. I know the crew's in here pretty much nightly, chilling. We appreciate y'all spending your time with us. Now, I want to give a shout out to the last thing here. We're doing a giveaway if you want to donate to a good cause. This is just a charitable thing. This has nothing to do with our Patreon group at all. This is a jersey that I purchased on my own dime, an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. Really, really cool piece of memorabilia. Came from Pristine Auctions, certificate of authenticity, everything with it. If you go to my Twitter handle, @Packers_access, pinned on my Twitter page, you'll see a link that says givebutter.com/KRPSJ5. Okay. Anyone who donates $5, you'll be entered into the contest one time. So if you donate $50 to that awesome, My Autism Connection, that awesome charitable cause there, then you'll get, if you donate 50, you're going to get 10 entries into that giveaway. That's how that'll work. Okay. So in increments of $5. For every $5 you donate, you'll be entered into the hat one time. We're going to do the same thing with the wheel, spin that sucker, and give away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. Again, that is My Autism Connection, building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. We appreciate y'all hanging out in the chat with us tonight and love what y'all are doing over there at Max. So that's it, guys. We're out of here. Appreciate everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, most likely. If I can get it approved by the wife, we'll be back same time, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. For some more PTA Live. Hit that like button on the way out. Sub to the channel. Go check out our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack.
There we go.
Bye, guys.